All right, over the last couple of days, there's been a whole bunch of changes to the test server. They're coming thick and fast, so I'm going to try and do a quick video on some of them. And then at the end, I'll show a little bit of gameplay footage to illustrate some of the changes to the level up system. So we'll go to Turtle Pack first. Now, there's a few changes to the new units here. So Flying Squirrel is gone. It was tier 6, and its ability has just been transplanted onto the Wolverine, which I think is fine, because honestly, the Wolverine's ability was pretty useless in my opinion. There was just very little you could do with it, to be honest. So that's fine. I like this ability a lot. I think Flying Squirrel is good. They've reverted the Hedgehog, thankfully, because it was completely busted the way it was. I think everyone who knew anything about the game could tell that as soon as you saw the ability was a repeat. So that's been fixed. So this isn't going to result in infinite draws necessarily anymore. Or maybe it probably still can, but might take a bit more work. They've changed Armadillo, I think. I think that was a tier 4. Now it's a tier 5. I'm not really sure what the use case is for this, where you give every pet in the whole, your team and the opposing team gets health. I don't know what the point of that is, but I'm sure the scientists will come up with something sooner or later. Mantis Shrimp has been changed. This is the one I'm the most disappointed about, because the early tiers seemed like a really good solution to part of the biggest problem of Pack 1 is people just keep the tier 1 pets for the entire game, and they just end up with an entire board of massive tier 1s and scalers. And with some of the other changes they've made, I feel like that's going to continue. So kind of disappointed with this. I mean, it's always nice to have new abilities in a pack that is very stale. But deal 10 damage to the first enemy seems pretty boring compared to what Mantis Shrimp was before. Pill has been changed back to being 1 gold. This was another change. Changing Pill in the first place was basically because pilling stuff was so broken in custom packs. Pilling Spider, pilling stuff in front of Muskox, pilling Eagle. The fact that it was 1 gold made it so easy and cheap to do it. But now they've put it back to being 1 gold, so, all the complainers are getting their wishes, basically. What else has changed here? I think Mouse was changed a couple of days ago, so now it only stocks 1 apple, so you get a better apple and a best apple instead of 3 and 2 at the different levels. So that just reduces the, you can't generate multiple apples for Jerboa with the Mouse. They did change Jerboa so it only has 2 triggers as well, I think. So, not really sure if that was necessary or not. We'll have to see how it pans out. Obviously, Jerboa plus Worm was kind of going wild in the custom packs, so they needed to do something. Snail was changed to end turn. So, I mean, this unit just might as well not exist in the game. It's so bad. It was pretty bad before when they changed it to be +1 health only, but now it's end turn as well. So not only do you have to have lost, you have to keep it in your team to even get the buff. So totally bizarre. This is probably going to become one of the least bought units in the game. Anything else? They added Bison back in, which is kind of disappointing, but I can understand why they did it, because Bison has been one of the Pack 1 mainstays forever, even if a lot of people don't like it, and I don't like it. But at least its ability was nerfed slightly, so it's +1 attack instead of +2 attack. But there, this was the pet brought back in to make up for the fact that Flying Squirrel has been moved, I think. I think everything else is roughly the same. There's maybe some other changes that I've missed out on, but we'll jump over to Puppy Pack. So you can see now here, tier 3 Flying Squirrel. So it has a completely new ability, which is Toy Broke, re-summon it and gain +1 attack. Doesn't seem like a very good ability. All the Toy Broke effects don't seem very good, to be honest. I think, Tabby Cat's been changed back to similar to its old ability. But there is something for Toy Broke here. There we go, Mandrill. Now it was Drill, now it's Mandrill. And it will break toys. So you can pill these to deliberately break a toy early. Not really sure how good that is. And all of the pets that were buy or toy broken have been changed back to just buy. which I guess makes sense because it was a little bit messy before, although obviously that is a nerf. What else have they changed in here? They changed anglerfish, so you no longer can, at level 2 you would get a level 2 unit, and level 3 you would get a level 3 unit, but they've changed that so that it now stocks multiples of the pet instead, which probably makes sense, because I guess cloning a level 3 of an opponent might be a little bit too good. But it's also going to be funny that you will be able to use this to potentially clone 3 sloths in one go, so I'm looking forward to seeing someone achieve that. Lionfish has been nerfed very slightly. Still seems ridiculously overpowered. I think the damage has just gone down a very little bit here. Panther was moved up to tier 5, which is no surprise because it seems completely busted. Wouldn't be surprised to see it end up in tier 6 eventually. I think Boar was changed as well. Maybe it was just the language, but also its stat line is up to 7/7. I'm not really entirely sure why they changed Boar, to be honest. I guess it's really just reusing assets to minimize how much work it takes to actually get this pack revamped. And it was one of the weakest tier 6s before. Like, you were very rarely wanting to get Boar on turn 9 level up. And the biggest one is probably Eagle. So as a result of them trying to maintain everything being 10 pets per tier, Panther going up to 5 means something has to go down. So they've moved Eagle down to 4. They've also changed it so that it no longer summons pets with their base stats, which is good because that was probably needed changed a long time ago. It was so abusable with custom packs as well, where you can fill the pack full of pets with high attack, so you're getting gigantic units summoned every time. So now you'll get 4, 4, 8, 8, or 12, 12 instead, which I think is, it makes a lot more sense. So even if you save up for a level 3 Eagle and you pill it, you're only going to get like a 12, 12 level 3 Leopard instead. So kind of introduces a little bit of the Stoat metagame where you kind of want to go for level 2 instead of 3. But I still think Eagle on tier 4 is going to be too good because you're going to end up easily getting a level 2, and then as soon as you get to turn 9 you can pill it and get a level 2 tier 6. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this change again. Eagle was one of the changes I suggested, so maybe other people suggested the exact same thing, but making it next shop tier prevented you from getting a tier 6 2 turns earlier on turn 7, which was definitely broken. And that kind of makes it the opposite of Stork, which is nice for symmetry. But we'll have to see if this one survives to the live server. They also changed this beluga sturgeon, so it summons dolphins with rice instead of bread, and they'd made a change to bread so that it actually gave gold on sell. But I guess they decided there was no need to have 2 different foods that gave gold, so they're just making it rice instead. So that's fine. That means you can use this as a summon, but you can also pill it and then recover gold. Because if you pill the sturgeon on level 2, you get 2 dolphins. Each of them are going to sell for 3 gold. So that's a lot of gold you can recover. So definitely a good change there. They added this gecko, which is kind of funny. I guess they also did this just to make sure that it was 10 pets per tier. Gecko was another one of the pets, the missing pets. All of these ones like pangolin, what else? Mosasaurus, Gharial, these were all in the game already. The art had been data mined by various people, and they've obviously used them. And Gecko was one of the ones that was missing, but this art has been redrawn. So they are obviously, although they're reusing assets in places, they are tidying it up where they feel they need to. So I like this one, looks really nice. The ability, not so great, but that's fine because all the tier 1s are supposed to have pretty rubbish abilities. 2-3 stat line is always good. So that looks like a good addition to the game. And I think there were some of the other food items were changed. I'm not entirely sure if they were just wording changes. So pancakes and pie have been changed slightly, but I don't know if that actually affects gameplay in any way. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't actually played this version yet. I'm just going over the changes based on what was in the dev post. So there were some other changes to pets that you can't actually play on the test server at the moment. So they changed Bulldog. So thankfully that's been fixed. That was That's been a massive problem in custom packs for a long time. And changing it to after attack is probably not going to make much difference to the golden pack at all. So good change there. They changed Camel. All of the heart pets have been changed so that they trigger on heart and faint by default, and they don't actually say that in the ability text anymore. So although it just says heart here, it is heart and faint, but they've reduced the amount of health that Camel was giving, so that's fine, that makes sense. Plus 2/2 was way too much, and it meant Leech plus Camel was ridiculous. It'll probably still be very good, but at least that's toned it down slightly. What else was changed? I think they changed a couple of the tier 6s, so they changed Sabertooth. So again, it's similar to Eagle. They've toned down how much the pets spawn with, the stats that they spawn with, so now it's 6/6 instead of 8/8. But of course, now that it's heart or faint, when the Sabertooth faints, you'll automatically get a spawn. So I'm not sure if that's going to make Sabertooth better overall, because we're losing some stats on the main summons, but at least it means you're guaranteed a summon. Whereas before you could just die in one hit and then it wouldn't spawn anything. And the worst change of the lot is they reverted German Shepherd, 30%, 60, 90. The only difference is you can't buff other German Shepherds. So this is still completely busted. Yes, you can't, add more German Shepherds to sort of, you can't get around the nerf by having 2 German Shepherds. Well, I guess you still can. They just would have to be scaled separately. But 30, 60, 90 is still totally broken, and they're going to have to change it again. I don't know why they reverted this. I think the number of complaints they've had about Nurse Shark and German Shepherd at this point. To be honest, Highland Cow as well. Why has Highland Cow not been nerfed? That's going to have to happen sooner or later. But obviously they are making changes sort of incrementally and doing them in batches so that people are actually getting a chance to test stuff rather than doing it in one big update. However, because we can't actually play with any of these pets, it's, you can't go into the game and actually prove that German Shepherd is okay with these percentages. So I understand they don't want to make Golden Pack and Star Pack available for free again, but there needs to be some way of testing this stuff before it actually gets published to the live server. So I think that's all the changes I wanted to talk about specifically on pets, but I'll now go to some gameplay and show the changes to the level ups. Alright, we're just going to try and get 6 pigs here to demonstrate the triple level up, which was removed but has now been put back in. And that's really disappointing to me because although it doesn't feel great not being able to combine the level 2s together, it also was one of the biggest problems with the game, and they really needed to change it. So here I'm just rolling for the pigs. We find the last one. And this is a common strategy, very, very common. You hard roll to get 6 of the same pet. Usually it's fish, but pig works as well, I guess. And you can do it with some of the other ones. I guess it'll be slightly less common with things like mosquito because the ability on that is not very good anymore. But ultimately it doesn't really matter because what you're doing is you're creating a massive lump of stats, which you're just never going to sell in most situations. That's the main problem that this reversion reintroduces. But there are some positives here, so you'll see what happens when I level up, is that if you combine them together, you get these 2 pets that are linked from tier 4, and if you buy one, the other one will disappear. And what happens when you level them up, when you combine them to level 3, is you do not get the linked spawn in the shop. So you're still triggering 3 level ups, but you're only getting 2 tier ups. And I'm just going to loop it here in the background because I don't really have any other footage. But the problem is that this still results in you creating massive tier 1 units that are unsellable. And that's compounded by the fact that because you get a choice of pets from the level up tier, your odds of getting giraffe and penguin and bison are going to be so much higher. And also, you've got pets like mouse in the early game now, which lets you target buffs onto units. So you can still pump stats onto the tier 1 so that by the time you get to like turn 5, 6, that unit is going to be absolutely gigantic compared to any of the units that you can get from the level up. And Mantis Shrimp's ability is now gone, so there's no inherent counter to it. Technically, Rhino does target tier 1 units, but in reality, most tier 1 units are going to be so big that the Rhino ability is going to be irrelevant on most of them. So yeah, positive changes with the UI, much better being able to see both pets without having to get clear a pop-up window, but really frustrating that the massive tier 1 meta seems to be back.